Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. We've put out a couple of videos recently here from committee investigations showcasing witnesses that are incompetent, that are negligent, malice, whatever they've been from Carney's cabinet of corruption. In this video, we're going to be taking a peek at one of our favorites here, MP Larry Brock. Yeah, he's going to be our next Attorney General. Fingers crossed. We need an election. Followed up by Andrew Lawton. He's great. And just to throw in a little bit of a laugh, we've got Chang. He's a little pixie MP from, I don't know, Vancouver, I believe. But what a mess this guy is. He's so woke and out of touch. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. And he's so tone deaf. Let's take a look at this. Let's let it ride. Larry Brock, Andrew Lawton, Chang. Oh my goodness. Let's take a peek.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome to all of our witnesses. Thank you for participating. To Mr. and Mrs. Best, I am heartbroken, I am angry, and I am disgusted that I was once a member of a justice system that has failed you so miserably. I guess to really emphasize that point, every time that offender who took your daughter's life appeared in front of a judge and was granted bail, he promised to follow those conditions. And if he was released with a surety, that surety also promised that he would abide by those conditions. These are false promises that are given every single day in this country, and the justice system accepts it at face value. Will often sometimes give warnings. Should you breach these conditions, you ought not to expect to be released a second time or a third time or a fourth time. And history and example after example shows us that these are promises that are not fulfilled and consequences not given to offenders. So if you could say to the government, what is the most important thing to you as survivors of a loss such as what you've suffered? What would be the most important thing that you could tell this committee when we write our report to the House?
It would be nice to have the criminals. It would be nice to have the criminals become accountable. No different than we're accountable as members of society. We sat in on a bail hearing, and the accused sat in a small cubicle in the detention facility, and it was like, geez, are we done yet? Like he's not engaged, he's not listening, he does not care. The bail hearing had to be extended by an apology of the justice because the defense lawyer, for 40 minutes, I'm not sure if he took 3 breaths, would not stop talking. As a result, we had to go back 3 days later, and then he was provided bail. Again, there's no motion, there's nothing. There's no feeling, and it's a slap in the face to the government that passed these features that we're living with today. It's a slap in the face to the police force that have to deal with these people.
He showed no emotion. None. He showed no care because he knew he was getting out. That's what this Liberal government's failed justice policies for the last 10 years have instilled within the criminal element in this country. It has emboldened criminals to do exactly what they are doing and terrorizing communities. Thank you for that. To the officers, both of you spoke about first steps. This was a good first step in the government introducing Bill C-14, but you would both acknowledge that while it talks about making it tougher for individuals to obtain bail, the same language that they used with the disastrous rollout of Bill C-48 by expanding the list of reverse onus charges, when you had members of the government, including the Prime Minister of the day and the former Justice Minister, proudly stating, "We delivered bail reform." These repeat violent criminals are going to be detained. We know that was a false promise, a false declaration, because we found ourselves right where we are right now with catch and release. Will you both agree with me that there is not a pathway in Bill C-14 for automatic detention? Yes or no?
I would agree with you, yes.
Right. It still vests discretion for judges in bail matters, particularly when you're dealing with violent repeat offenders, to still be granted bail. And the bill clearly states that when a justice makes a decision to release, it has to be on the least onerous conditions. I want to talk about that because that's one thing that we're not talking about in this committee, which is the sufficiency and the degree by which conditions need to be established. I have heard horror stories across this country of judges refusing to list conditions because it's an invitation to breach, or they're not addressing conditions reflective of the crime and the impact to the community or the victims, or they're making a joke of the promise to pay by requiring offenders to pay 5 cents. This is what's happening in downtown Toronto as we speak. Do you think that type of activism by our judges is appropriate to deal with community and victim safety?
Yeah, I think there's lots of work that we can still do around sureties. I think, in the Attac decision, it said that a pledge for a deposit performs the same function as actually giving a deposit. Quite frankly, that's nonsense.
Do you agree with that?
No, it's nonsense. And so, we need to do more work around sureties. We need to ensure that some sort of deposit is received by the court. We need to ensure that we're doing proper checks on sureties, that we don't have these sort of career sureties showing up repeat time and time again, vouching for someone who's been accused of an offense, that they're going to ensure that they abide by their conditions, knowing that they've put a pledge for a deposit, knowing that they're never going to have to pay that. It's never going to be collected.
Thank you, Mr. Baxter.
Guys, now we're going to check out Andrew Lawton and Wade Chang. Wade Chang is a disaster. Andrew Lawton is great, one of my new favorites to watch. Let's keep this rolling.
Thank you to all the witnesses for being here, and to the best. I cannot convey enough how deeply sorry I am for your loss and that the system failed your family and your daughter so much. Ms. Dunn, I'd like to start with you, and just by way of disclosure, my wife does sit on the board of your organization, so I'm very familiar with the work, and we've been supporters since long before then, so thank you for your advocacy on this. We heard Mark Roskamp, the St. Thomas Police Chief, before this committee, and he had said in another session that 58% of those charged in St. Thomas with offences related to intimate partner violence are repeat offenders, and many of those are on bail. You deal with the victims of this. Does a stat like that surprise you, or does that conform with what you understand about the perpetrators of intimate partner violence?
Thank you so much for the question, MP Lawton. I think, that goes right in line with what we see here on the ground. And what is even more important maybe to mention is, that doesn't necessarily include all of the women who choose not to report to police, right? And so I think the numbers are not shocking, and Stats Can put out a report just came out today and it showed that between 2018 to 2024, IPV charges were up by 17%. And that statistic is not shocking either, because we are busier than ever. In the past year, we've had over 10,000 service interactions at our tiny little organization here in London, Ontario. So
there is a bill before this House of Commons, a Conservative bill that would treat the murder of a current or former intimate partner as first-degree murder, regardless of whether it was planned or deliberate. It would also create a new specific criminal code offenses for assault of an intimate partner and criminal harassment of an intimate partner. Would these measures be ones that you would encourage the House to pass?
Absolutely, I would. I think that we need to look at those types of crimes individually. I think that when we're looking at intimate partner violence, it is very much a gendered issue, and violence against women is not on a decline. And I think it's very important to look at any type of law or legislation that can support ending violence against women.
In your initial testimony, Ms. Dunn, the trauma and pain that offenders being released on bail causes to women, to victims, you mentioned that they have to move oftentimes. What is the process itself like of these bail hearings? Does it respect the women who are dealing with trauma and dealing with these offenses in your experience?
Absolutely not. We have had women who refuse to call the justice system anymore. They call it the legal system because they feel as if they are not seeing enough justice done. It is very, very much a problem with, bail happening and women not being informed or it being difficult for them to find out what's happening next. And that's an ongoing issue. And it's organizations like ours, and we're so thankful to have such amazing community partners here in London, Ontario. And we can work together to support women who are being or who have been subjected to this type of violence and who are involved in the criminal justice system at no fault of their own. Navigate through that and figure out what is happening next, because sometimes it's like I said, very difficult to get information.
Thank you. Moving to you, Mr. Morton, we have heard from this testimony before a concern that there is this wide gap between legal theory and experiences on the ground, the realities that your members and your colleagues have to contend with. And I note some of the Liberal witnesses have come from academic backgrounds where they have never even spoken to, as part of their research, victims. They are solely focused on the rights of the accused. What is the danger of that way of approaching criminal law?
The danger in regards to that is we are putting the offenders' rights above families and victims of these serious and violent crimes that are happening, and it's not taking a fulsome approach in regards to reviewing what needs to be changed or what should be considered to be changed moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Wait 5 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. To Mr. and Mrs. Best, we are very sorry for your loss, and my sincere condolences to you and your families. So my very first question goes to Ms. Dunn. In your work with survivors, how often do you see cases where violent partners end up reoffending while on bail?
We see it all of the time. The one example that I gave where we were working with a woman whose mother was the surety for the perpetrator, that, that was not a good situation here for the woman that was accessing service. I think, like I said in my speaking notes, the woman could not even access our service without a safety plan. It was difficult for her to come to a service like our organization would provide. And so we see this time and time again. For example, when I told the staff here that I was going to be appearing before all of you, I had numerous staff members want to share stories with me to bring forward. So this is not an unusual circumstance for us here.
Thank you. And in your experience, what is the best way for the justice system to protect victims while still being fair to the accused?
We think it's very important for the system to work as much as they can right now, the way the system is structured, with a trauma and violence informed lens and trauma and violence informed approach. I think it's really important, to look at what maybe targeted accountability could look like. you all have a very big job to do, and we need to see high-risk repeat violent offenders to face detention. But we have to remember that this is not one size fits all, right? And we really have to recognize that, without the proper implementation in place, it's just simply not going to work. So everybody has to work together in order for it to work properly. And what I mean by that is that, if there's a woman on the other side of what an accused is going through with the criminal justice system, she needs to be informed every single step of the way. There needs to be accountability from the criminal justice system in that regard as well, not just for the accused. Victims do have rights as well, and it's really important for those to be considered every step of the way.
Thank you. And from your perspective, how would making it harder to get bail help keep women and families safe?
When a violent offender has been released on bail, women are constantly fearing for whether it's their lives or their safety. They cannot leave their homes without fear. They are constantly looking over their shoulders to see, what's going to happen next. And it's very difficult to live like that. And nobody should have to live like that. And just to be clear, it's very important that those types of experiences are considered when looking at changing any legislation or law. But the reality is, organizations like ours, we are working every single day to work ourselves out of a job. We don't want to be in, 2025 having to provide service, over 10,000 times in a year. And we really need to make sure that every single system is working together to provide every opportunity for real justice.
Thank you. And my last question to you is that beyond changing the law, what kind of support do we need to make sure that reforms actually keep women and families safe?
You have time for a brief answer, Ms. Dunn.
Sure. Quickly, I think it's very important for all of the systems to work together. So I think this is an opportunity to, I think, like I said in my speaking notes from, I have it open right here, the courtroom to the counseling office. Like, we all share the responsibility to support both survivors and victims and families, and also the perpetrators of the violence. And that comes with education and prevention and proper funding all across the board.
Oh, yeah. We'll wrap it up right there, gang. What do you think of Wade Chang, huh? What a guy. I guess if we want to loosely use a word, what a fairy. Anyhow, committee meetings are always interesting. These investigations usually bring out more questions rather than answers, but that's the way it goes. My name's Aaron, Canadian Looney. Like, share, subscribe, get notified. Come and join us for one of our live shows. We've got one of the best chat rooms you'll find online. Come and verify that for yourself. Thanks for watching this video. Get your Canadian federal politics right here. Ciao for now. We'll catch you in the next one.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary.
It's time for a change in this country, my friends. A real change.
Now I have a question. Who's ready?
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein?
More than just elbows.
Wow.
I am a European, actually.
Oh, you are?
I'm an Irish citizen, yeah.
These are Muslim values.
A real change.
These are Canadian values.
Wow.
Speaking as a European,
Happy birthday! A few days short. A little bit. A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day.
Reticent to
because
talk
I'm
about
a good
that.
because I'm a good negotiator. I have negotiated a number of situations in the past. I know how to manage crises.
This is the most consequential vote of our lifetimes.
A real change.
These are Canadian values. Because President Trump has ignited a trade war that is ruptured Rob, sure. No, we don't like Trump here.
All right, elbows up.
Elbows up.
Happy birthday.
Being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you
What
sought to
possible
avoid.
conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final. Look inside yourself, Rosemary.